Do I got one? I got one, guys. Oh, oh my gosh. Caught a bluegill on a jerkbait. I thought it was a bass. Just barely got the hooks. That's an actual bluegill. So if y'all are ever catching panfish and you're wondering, I'm sure most everybody who watches my videos, I'm sure y'all know, but that's not a green sunfish. That's an actual bluegill right there. Got little bitty lips on him. I wasn't getting anything, so I was using one of those little Strike King miniature square bills, and I couldn't get anything. But then I put on the little Rebel Raider again and just started twitching it, and first cast got a little fish. There are some bass in this pond though, so we'll see if we can get on some. First one's a little bluegill though. So this water is clean too. Again, that's kind of the common theme. If y'all are looking for ponds to fish in the wintertime, make sure that water is clear. And this water's clear if you watch them swim away. They normally have this dyed, but they haven't dyed it yet because the algae doesn't grow as much in the wintertime. So this is the time to come out and fish when it's real clear like this. There's another one. That feels a little bit better. What is that? Same spot, y'all. Look at that. Look at that. Little largie. Come on. Dude, finally. Finally. I feel like I've put the pieces together. Found a clear pond with a little bit of wind today. And finally put the right bait on. I guess that little square bill that I was throwing, I'll show you all later in the video. I guess the little square bill I was throwing had a little too much action. But even with that, I've got a little snap on here. And that snap was making that little square bill actually sink a little bit. And I was able to work it a little bit like a jerkbait, but I guess that wiggle and maybe the rattle in it was just a little too much for him. I don't know. Little largie, come on now. Little largie on the Rebel Raider. Y'all have seen me throw that before. Let's give this little chunk a good release. Later. Guys, that's another thing with this twitch bait. With little baits in general, or if you wanted to call it a lipless jerkbait, it's really small. You know, it's probably even under 1/8 of an ounce. Use the snaps. I never used to really know what they were for or why. I just figured they made, you know, changing your baits out easier. But honestly, with the action in the wintertime, you want that snap on there because you want it to help that bait sink and get to depth a little bit faster, because otherwise you're waiting a minute for this thing to get down to the depth that you need it to. I mean, that might be an exaggeration, but you're waiting a long time. So if you're a little impatient in the wintertime, use those little snaps to help your smaller baits, or any baits for that matter, sink a little faster. There's another one, guys. What is he? Kind of feels like a bluegill the way he's fighting. Looky there. Multi-species. Got us a little crappie. Looky there. This thing catches them all. Pinned his mouth shut, dang. Look at that. Little multi-species with the Rebel Raider. I am going to be throwing this bait a lot more this winter, especially on this combo. So for y'all who are curious about what I'm throwing this on, 4-pound fluoro. Really small fluoro. 4-pound Seeger Red Label fluoro on my Dobbins Dobbin 701C bottle, and that Suranoia Dark Wolf. It is just money for these little baits. 4-pound test. Got me a little crappie. Awesome. I know they say these little crappie are bad for the bass because they eat so much of their bait, but I mean, it's cool to see that there's a bunch of different species in this little pond, because this pond is real small, guys. It's not very big at all, but it's healthy. It's got water flowing in through there, and they pump it in a little bit too, you can tell. Got a nice fountain on it. And there's roots, there's structure along the edges. There's all those tree roots up along the edges and grass. It's a pretty good spot. See you, little bud. Swim on. He's cold. So that last crappie was a lot darker. This one's a little more white. Still slaying them on that little lipless jerkbait, guys. That's the 4th fish. I've only been here probably 15 minutes. Working out pretty good. They are slamming that little bait too. Just killing it. See ya. There's what's that? Wow. Got the nursery school bass, man. So that first largemouth we caught was decent. This thing is so little. I don't know how he's so little this time of year. That's like a 5-inch bass. Most of y'all throw baits that are bigger than this fish. He was following it because he waited right till it got to the bank to hit it. Catching them all on that thing. Go get bigger, little fella. Oh. There's one chasing at that cast too. I watched him. He almost thought about eating it right there at the end. I might have been working it a little bit too fast. That's the thing. Use really subtle lifts and subtle twitches on your jerks this time of year. I'm definitely no expert on jerkbait fishing, but even just this trip alone, difference between like a slow rise and a little twitch versus a rip. No bites on the rips, but the subtle little lifts and twitches have been when I've gotten all my bites. So yeah, y'all, that's always good to see. There's where the fresh water gets pumped in here. They keep this pond full. They don't let it get super low, and it just trickles down there and flows right in to the pond right here. This is a pretty little pond, guys. They take good care of this. I like it a lot. That water flows and goes right in there. Man, in the summertime, that's where all the little minnows and bait fish are, right where that fresh water comes in, and you better believe there's always a bunch of predators right around that area too. In the summertime, one time I had a bunch of topwater fish here, and they were just following all of those little bait fish up shallow underneath the grass, and where this water came in, it was awesome. I caught several bass on a full size, like a size 90 whopper flopper. It was crazy. Ooh, I got something really small, guys, like real small. He knocked it around a little bit. Dude, I mean, look at that. Look at what I can like feel and catch on these little baits. Like, no doubt in my mind a big bass will eat this. I'm just in a place where there's probably no big bass in here. But if I can catch a like 4-inch bluegill, I mean, that's sensitivity at its finest. I mean, it's not all that cool, but at the same time, I'm throwing this on like bass tackle. And I'll tell you one thing, it is a heck of a lot better than the last 2 times I've been on the lake and not even put a true game fish in the boat. So there you go. Little bluegill fella. Ooh, that's a good fish, whatever that is. That's a better one. That's what we came for. Little bass guy, little green guy. Well, boys, this is turning out into not too bad of a little trip here. After work, just out here getting a line wet. Found the right bait on the right setup and getting the right results on it. Let's go. Definitely nothing huge, but like I said, it is so much better than fishing for 4 or 5 hours and getting like 1 or 2 bites maybe. I mean, just brutal it's been on the lakes, but this is some relief right here. Go eat some more minnows. Ooh. God, he waited right till the end to get it. Look at that. Those little bluegill are even picky right now. He followed it all the way in and waited till I get the bait right by the bank to go ahead and pluck it. He slammed it though too. Nice little orange, yellow and orange guy. See ya. First cast, guys. Look what I caught him on. Little bitty rebel raider. This is 1 or 2 days from when you saw that first pond video. I saw him come up and eat it too. Crazy. Little bitty. That's the smallest bass I've caught in a while. He's tiny. I bet they're hungry in here though. The last time I was at these ponds, there weren't even foundations on these houses, and it wasn't that long ago. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 months ago, and now it's a whole new neighborhood. It's crazy how fast that stuff goes up around here. So there's another pond hopping trip for y'all. I pretty much caught all of my fish at that first pond earlier this week. Had a little bit of time, so I decided to stop at a pond on the way home today, and pretty much was a bust. All I caught was that little 5-inch bass, but that little rebel raider, if there's clear water ponds close to y'all's house and it's cold and the bite's just gonna be tough, pick you up one of those and see what you can catch on it, because they'll get a strike from even the most lethargic fish I've found. So try them out if you want to. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you on the next one. I got a couple of good videos here coming soon, so stay tuned. Take her easy.